Welcome to Looking at the Markets with David Modell. Today we have a return guest, Mr. Lior Gantz. Mr. Gantz, among other things, is with wealthresearchgroup.com. He's an editor there, or should I say co-editor, with two other people that I've had the pleasure of interviewing, Mr. Daniel Amadori and Mr. Kenneth Amadori. With Wealth Research Group, Lior Gantz allows readers access into the world of the few who beat the markets consistently, and he's been doing this not for years but for decades with his relentless research and his passion for writing. If you go on wealthresearchgroup.com, you can see all the amazing and, did I mention, free content? People have been emailing me and leaving YouTube comments on our previous video about the free content. They love it. So, Mr. Gantz, thank you for joining me again on Looking at the Markets.
Well, thanks for having me and making me sound old. 17 years is not decades.
Well, you know.
So what's going on?
What can I tell you? No, it's great to talk to you again. I appreciate that. And you're certainly not old, believe me on that one, but you are highly experienced. Now today we're going to focus, if that's okay, on cryptocurrencies, a super hot topic. Yeah, I don't know about you, Lior, but I get questions about cryptocurrencies almost every day. About blockchain, ICOs, what's hot and what's not. So first of all, I want to talk about blockchain. I mean, what are the latest revolutionary things going on in blockchain, and what do you think's next in blockchain technology?
Well, it's very important to understand and differentiate blockchain technology from cryptocurrencies. So cryptocurrencies are tokens that used to transfer value. Most of them do not function as currencies right now, obviously. So with most altcoins, you can go to coinmarketcap.com. You'll see there are about 900 altcoins, and you got the big ones, Bitcoin and Ethereum. And most of them do not function as currency. So people who own them do not transact in them. It's not like dollars or euros, etc. Very early stage. But they all rely on the platform called blockchain technology, which basically is where these transactions get verified and logged or blocked in a chain. That's where the blockchain comes from. So blockchain is the platform. It's much more important than any one currency. Any currency, any cryptocurrency is the tip of the iceberg with regards to what blockchain is. You can think of it like the internet being blockchain, and one domain name being a cryptocurrency. So like Amazon.com would be a very valuable domain name, even priceless domain name. That would be the Bitcoin, for example. But the World Wide Web would be the blockchain. So it can only function on the blockchain. And therefore, IBM and Microsoft and you name it, all the big tech giants are looking at ways of utilizing blockchain to create profits, and other companies such as the New York Stock Exchange, which is trying to create through the blockchain a platform so they can trade 7 days a week. The Department of Defense for the U.S. is trying to encrypt messages using blockchain. The Australian, the German, and the Canadian stock markets are all looking at prototyping blockchain technology right now. And the reason is it's a decentralized, proof-verified database that is incorruptible. And it's basically the third wave of the internet. After domain names, social media, now you got the third wave. So David, this is very exciting. And until now, all investors have experienced is mostly cryptocurrencies, and they've done very well. And then you've got this new phase called ICOs, which are incredibly risky. Most of them are total scams, and it's important to understand that it's a pure jungle. And last week, David, we've seen the first publicly traded company that is a pure blockchain play getting listed on the Canadian and U.S. stock exchange. We can talk about that company later if you wish to, but it's a huge deal because it's the bridge between the publicly traded markets and the crypto world, ushering for the first time. So, and by the way, if you want to access research on this company, just go to wealthresearchgroup.com/must, M-U-S-T. Well, anyways, blockchain is something that I think will take about 10 years to really develop. So we're really at the pioneer stage of it. And if you're an investor right now, get excited.
I'm definitely excited about that, and that's wealthresearchgroup.com/must, and I'll put all these links in the description of this video so people can check that out. That's great. Now, I wanted to talk about the fact that, yeah, I like to go on coinmarketcap.com as well, and I am frankly overwhelmed by the number of coins out there, the number of tokens.
David, I just talked to the founder of Litecoin yesterday, Charles Lee, and he said that programming a cryptocurrency is easy. So the barrier of entry is not that difficult to create a coin. The coin in itself is not valuable at all, right? I can create one, you can create one, etc. It's endless. We can create infinite amount of cryptocurrencies. What gives cryptocurrency value is essentially the fact that people agree that this is a good cryptocurrency. And then you've got the network effect, the community effect. All these miners coming in, developers, the sweat and labor and innovation. This is what gives it premium value. That's why Bitcoin is, $4,000, and Ethereum is 300, and these other ones are less, etc. And their market cap varies. But in functionality-wise, most of them function the same way. They're private, they're anonymous, they're fast, they're worldwide, they're transnational. You don't have to ask permission. These all have some of the same attributes, but it's the one that has already proven itself to be unhackable and all that stuff that gets it more value. But yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, that's okay. I mean, I remember following you and seeing that you were in fact quite bullish on Bitcoin, and it was much cheaper at that time, and it's gone up substantially.
Sure.
It's gone up substantially since then. So you were right about that.
Well, I can tell you.
Yeah.
I can tell you that I got into Bitcoin very accidentally, very luckily. When in January of 2013, it was only like $19 or something.
Yeah.
And I sold most of it at 119. I thought it was a genius. And then I came in again and scooped a lot of it at 400 and 800, and I've sold a lot, and I kept some for the pure speculation that it might double or triple or quadruple even now that it's 4,000. I'm sorry. And with Wealth Research Group, we went in November 2016 and February of 2017 and said Ethereum is the big deal right now. It was 10 and 12.8 when we said that. We also suggested Monero. It was real cheap when we suggested it. I think it's like 100-bagger or 100-fold return from when we suggested it first, and Steam as well. Obviously, when you speculate in these, you can't invest the type of funds that you would in a publicly traded company. It's just the network is not big enough to support a 50 or 100K going in there in one foul swoop.
Right.
Bitcoin might be, but the other ones no. So it's speculative. It can return a lot, but it's definitely not like the publicly traded companies where you can come in and make a substantial investment.
Understood. With the CEO of JP Morgan saying not so positive things about cryptocurrencies.
Jamie.
Yep. But meanwhile, JP Morgan, the company itself, is invested in cryptocurrencies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what are we to make of this discrepancy here?
Well, David, what are you to make of the railroad magnates back in the 1800s lobbying to have on every new car that Carl Benz had manufactured have a driver, and then you got to have an engineer on every car and a flagman running before the car with a flag saying, "Hey, this is a car, watch out." So every industry that disrupts the powers that be of the previous generation, they do anything they can to regulate, monitor, block, whatever they can do to stem this advancement that's rushing over them. And Jamie Dimon is just being Jamie Dimon, right? That's what he does. He's a scam artist. So he goes on and says, "Hey, my daughter bought it. Like, girls can't make financial sound decisions right now." So he's being sexist. Then he compares her to the herd because he says, "Hey, she bought it and it's gone up." So she thinks she's a genius. So now he compares everyone that bought to like a herd mentality, which is obviously not true. The pioneer investors of Bitcoin were they had to take major risks to get involved and stay involved. So it's definitely something that is not only not a fraud, but at this point there's no denying it's caught the attention of a massive amount of the population, and in other areas. Every blockchain conference I've been to, I've seen JP Morgan people in there. I mean, come on, the Ethereum Alliance has JP Morgan backing, so they're definitely in there. They definitely know what's going on, and it's disrupting not only banking but the entire financial services system. Western Union, Visa, MasterCard, all of these companies, all of these third-party providers are no longer needed if the public accepts cryptocurrencies as a whole. Because you make peer-to-peer transactions, they're not. The fees are much less than using MasterCard or Visa. You can do it from your phone easily. You don't have to ask permission. There's no clearing time. It's international. I mean, it's the way of the future, right? But it's gonna take time to adopt this. So he's just doing what he can to try and use his influence to slow it down, but these JP Morgan traders are using their lunch breaks to speculate in cryptocurrencies. These are gamblers. So it's all part of the usual Wall Street blabber talk.
Right.
They're all over this, David.
Yeah, understood. But there are some obstacles for investors. For example, earlier this month, China banned all ICOs, initial coin offerings, and even called it illegal public financing. So given that type of roadblock, I mean, that's a serious blow. What are investors to make of that?
Well, is it a serious blow? Isn't heroin and cocaine illegal? I mean, honestly, don't they have a market price? Whatever is illegal doesn't stop trading and doesn't stop having a market value. If people want it, it's just going to be illegal to do it. So many people will not do it. They will do it if it's legal, but it's not going to stop cryptocurrencies. What the Chinese government is doing is trying to regulate exchanges. The exchanges are not the Chinese exchanges are part of the Bitcoin community, but the computing power behind Bitcoin is about 10,000 times more strong or stronger than the 50 biggest supercomputers. It's ridiculous what they're trying to do. They can't stop it. As long as the free market wants it, especially a decentralized system, it's beyond what they're doing. But the real problems are within the community. So the real problems right now that are going to be needing to be addressed, the next phase of cryptocurrencies, is what governments are going to do. Are they going to start taxing them? Are they going to want access to see more details about who's buying which currencies because of, let's say, alleged terrorist attacks or etc. connected with cryptocurrencies? Will governments create their own cryptocurrencies? So a government-issued cryptocurrency. What's going to be the future of that? So, but just remember, anything of that nature is good for blockchain, but it's detrimental to the cryptocurrencies themselves. That's why I'm much more aggressive and bullish with my own investments with the platform itself, with blockchain itself, and not any given cryptocurrency at this point, because right now it's getting so well accepted that it's going to have to go through a shakeout with governments getting involved, and you don't know how long that will last and who are going to be the casualties, etc. Other obstacles for the cryptocurrencies, David, would be the protocol. So let's say you're a pension fund or a large company like Exxon or Apple, etc. The cryptocurrency world is too small for you right now. You can't do any merchant banking or any transactions with it because it's not gonna be fast enough to clear the amount of business that Amazon does, right? So getting larger protocols is the biggest hurdle to get more of society into this, more of retail world into this. Interoperability. So basically, the idea that cryptocurrencies would communicate with each other is missing today, and you would need that in the future. And the last thing would be having the cryptos start acting as currencies. And for example, if you travel to New York and you go and you want to enter a coffee shop that does accept Bitcoin, they're going to take the dollar amount of the coffee, let's say $5, and they're going to calculate it instantly to how much Bitcoin you need to send them. Right?
Right.
Now, if Bitcoin changes tomorrow, they're going to calculate this again. The dollar is down 10% this year, but they haven't changed the price of coffee. So coffee doesn't change; it stays like $5, right? Mm-hmm. It would change, but it would take 2-3 years for something to happen. It's not like with Bitcoin that you have to peg it to the dollar. So it's not acting as its own currency; it's being pegged all the time when it comes to retail. So that's the next phase. People saying, "Hey, this is a tenth of a Bitcoin. This is a fixed cost, right?" So the volatility is not allowing this, but this is also part of the growth in the next phase for cryptocurrency. So again, it's a very exciting space, David, right now.
Absolutely. I'm looking on wealthresearchgroup.com. There's an article in there from September 20, a week ago, and I'll put a link to that in the description. It says up 150% in 3 days. Blockchain is like a NASA rocket. And it discusses how now we can, traditional investors with just a traditional brokerage account can actually get involved investing or trading in blockchain technology.
That's correct.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about other people, but to me that sounds like something that could just continue to go up and up for patient and forward-thinking investors. Would you agree?
Well, let me ask you this: what's the biggest success for stock investors in the last decade? It has been the invention of ETFs, right? ETFs allow you a one-click button and you get leverage or exposure to a given sector without analyzing all the stocks in it. Okay, so it's been a huge success, but there are no cryptocurrencies ETFs, so there is no way of one-click button for you to get exposure to the market. Right. Now, many people have a technology barrier. They don't want to go through the steps it takes to to open an account with an exchange, to buy a wallet or a cold storage wallet, etc. They have this limitation that they are ingrained to buy stocks, which is fine, because think about it, the wealthiest generation on the planet is the baby boomers. These are 45 to 65-year-olds and above. And you're not going to change everything that you're not going to tell your dad, "Hey, Dad, I know you've never opened a computer. I need you to buy some Bitcoins," right? So they need another solution. And along came this incredible idea of Fiore Corporation. Fiore is a huge deal in Canada. It's one of the largest corporations with a 30-year success track record in mining and natural resources and film industry. It's got a billionaire behind it. And then you got Genesis Mining. I bet you know who they are. They're three super brilliant guys, two mathematicians, the largest privately held mining company in the cryptocurrency space. And they created this sort of a merger where it's called HIVE Blockchain Technology. HIVE, obviously, because you get into these facilities, if you've ever been to one of them, and it sounds like a beehive, it's so loud. HIVE trades on the Toronto Venture, so TSX Venture, under the symbol HIVE, HIVE, or in the US on the over-the-counter under the ticker PRELF. Right. So But PRELF, by the way, if you look it up, it might appear as Lita Gold Corp, which is like the previous corporation name before they changed it to HIVE Blockchain Technologies. But regardless, you're owning a piece of HIVE, and yeah, they launched on the 18th. If you take a look at the website, you'll see an article that I wrote on the 17th, the day before they started trading, to alert people. And we also send it in the newsletter to alert people that this is the purest and only first-to-market pure blockchain play. And sure enough, it started trading at about 74 cents Canadian, and in 3 days it went up to 227 Canadian. So that's like a 206% return.
Yeah.
And the reason is that you've got all of these people that want exposure to this market, but they're not looking to do it through cryptocurrencies. They want exposure directly to the blockchain. And you know, it was the most successful first week launch for any company on the TSXV Ventures history. It's a huge deal. And right now they're financing it at $1.50 with a $30 million financing. I can tell you that from what I heard, one of the co-founders of PayPal is part of this financing. So he sees this company as a vehicle to advance the peer-to-peer and cash, digital cash cryptocurrency world. And the company is already turning profits. So it's a very exciting opportunity. Again, you can check the research at wealthresearchgroup.com/must. And I am a shareholder, a big shareholder, and the reason is that, you know, when you think about investments, think about Coca-Cola, right? It's the first one to do what it did. It did sugar, right? We all know Coca-Cola is. Now, who's the third company in that niche? Who's the third company that does that competes with Coca-Cola, or the fourth, or the fifth, or the sixth? Being first to market meant everything for Coca-Cola. Right. It means everything for this company as well. So, yeah, it's an exciting opportunity, David.
Absolutely. So once again, the tickers, if people are interested, and again, we're not pumping anything here. You know, people have to make their own decisions. But
definitely, David.
Yeah.
Make your own decision. Do your own research. Right. This is an investment, and the fact that I am part of the company doesn't mean that I think anything about it. You need to do your own research.
Correct.
And that's what we encourage. That's the reason I founded Wealth Research Group in the first place, because when I liquidated the fund that I was running, I said, look, enough is enough. I can't be limited to helping. I was a 20 people fund. It was a 20 high net worth people that I was investing for, and I wanted to reach a broader audience, because let's face it, the educational system that we all are forced to go to, the government education system in any country in the world, any Western country, it's mostly the same bullshit. And people do not know how to write a check by the time they're 18.
Right. They
do not know what saving is, what investing is. It's in my opinion, done on purpose, because that's the way that these institutions have worked since the Middle Ages. Keeping, you know, when Gutenberg did the printing press, invented it, the church put a lot of regulations on it to make sure that it doesn't spread. Information is super valuable, and actionable information is even more valuable. So that's why Wealth Research Group is free, because I didn't want any threshold. I wanted information to get into the right hands of people who want to build a financial fortress and for themselves and for their family, and keep the government and all these entitlements and, you know, the rest of it out of their lives. Be your own savior, right?
Yep.
The government will probably, you know, I don't want to use foul language, but they would screw you over whenever they can. They do not work for you. They do not care about you. All these politicians, when they wake up in the morning, they think about how to sustain their lifestyle, and they do not think of how to progress your life. Certainly the bankers do not think that way, and the entire you know, Wall Street politics revolving door is all about keeping these people living the life that they want to live at the expense of other people. Otherwise, why bail out the banks in 2008, right? Why pump liquidity into the economy? Why do all these things that only help the 1% at the expense of everyone else. So, anyways, sorry for the rant, but
it's okay.
But
the ticker that I see on the TSX, it's HIVE for HIVE Blockchain Technologies,
it's a TSX venture.
Yeah, right. And here in North America, it is on the OTC markets, PRELF. That's the ticker. If people want to get involved, and
Papa Romeo Elephant.
Yep.
Romeo Elephant. Lima Fox.
Right, PRELF, correct. And that's if people want to get involved, possibly in a ground floor opportunity. And if you want to read more about that, you can go on to wealthresearchgroup.com/must. And also check out all the. I mean, you still have all the things that people continue to email me about. They say, Dave, I thank you for posting that video. I can't believe this is all free. All the special reports, the Financial Fortress, the wealth stocks, all that good stuff. The videos, really, really great stuff. So what can we expect in the future for blockchain technology and for cryptocurrencies in general?
Well, I think for the blockchain, what's going to happen next is you're going to see a whole slew of new uses for it. IBM is trying to create a chain where you would know where the food supply is at any given point. It might even get to a point where you at the grocery store, you're scanning your ketchup and you see where these tomatoes that are in your particular can have come from. So they're trying to create a world where food safety is very important and you can know exactly where your food is coming from, and obviously it's a blessing, right? Then you got healthcare. All of your data, all your records, you're gonna own them, not your not your I don't know what you call them in the States, but basically not your medical provider. They wouldn't keep the record. You would own them. You would have the key to them on the blockchain. You can share them with whoever you want. That's gonna help with all these. There's around 70,000 people in the U.S. that die every year from medical mistakes, just from they're allergic to this, but they didn't know, etc. That's gonna help solve all these issues and create more privacy. Healthcare is going on the blockchain. Like I said, food's going on the blockchain. Properties are going on the blockchain. Like, for instance, I spent a lot of time in Israel where I was born and raised, and because my wife and I, and we have a baby, we do like 2 months out of the year in 6 locations, like follow good weather. And so right now I'm in Israel, and the neighboring country Egypt, the title for every property is unknown for about 60 or 70% of the people. They would know to tell you if they own it or not. There's no record. And think of this. This is not a third world country. Think of a third world country where the dictator or the government comes in and just takes your land, takes your field, etc. Putting everything on the blockchain makes it impossible. Now, you know as well as I do that $5 smartphones are months away. That means that all of these people that live in the third world, we're talking half the population of the planet, they're going to have access to the global financial system for the first time. They're going to be able to log into the blockchain. Now, you know that they always send the young ones, not always, but a lot of the young people from these countries, they go into Western world and they make money that in their home country would be amazing, but they have to use Western Union and all these companies that charge them about 10 to 15%. It takes days. Now they can use cryptocurrencies. So I see cryptocurrencies as liberating to many countries that are in difficulty. Obviously, you've seen them very popular in Venezuela. And so, yeah, look, it's going to be amazing. Follow it, stay on top of it. I know on the Wealth Research Group newsletter, we're going to stay right on top of it because we think that along with the legalization of cannabis and the mismanagement of our current monetary system, which might lead to double-digit inflation in the next months to a year here and start a commodities bull market, a super cycle, we think these 3 aspects are the most profitable small cap sectors. And obviously, like you said earlier, with wealth stocks, which are also on the webpage. These are our long-term investments. So you know as well as I do that the richest investor on the planet is Warren Buffett, and the way that he has been able to compound his wealth and his shareholders' wealth is by long-term investing. So we're very focused on that aspect as well, because small cap investing is great, right? But you can't use all your money with it. It's very risky.
Right.
You've got to build this asset allocation model, which I talk about as well. If you want to, listeners can go to wealthresearchgroup.com/crash. And crash is my blueprint, my master plan for how to deal with and prepare for the coming stock market crash, which I think is a few quarters away at best. The stock market, the U.S. stock market, S&P 500, NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones are generationally and even historically expensive.
Yeah.
And I think the world is entering into a bubble. So the European stock markets are entering into very expensive territory, and the Asian ones as well, emerging market as well. And I think we're only a few quarters from seeing this really start to drop very severely, even 40 to 50% in some cases. And so yeah, you got to know what to do with your current holdings, what to do with future holdings, and how to prepare. And if you're looking for asset allocation, so building a diversified model, go to wealthresearchgroup.com/2017. That's my personal portfolio where I discuss what I do.
Plenty of resources on this one website. I'm really impressed with it, and other people who've written to me are also very grateful and impressed. And while people are at it, they should go to Twitter, check out handle @ResearchWealth, and also on Facebook, it is Wealth Research Group. Mr. Lior Gantz, so much information for me to process. I'm going to have to go back and watch this a couple times. You're welcome back anytime on Looking at the Markets. Thank you, sir, for coming on.
Hey, thanks, David, for getting me on.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.